Hey, it's Emil. Your buddy Emil. Emil, I'm up to you. Hey, welcome. This is our program. This is Emil Amok's Takeout, the micro talk show of the AAPI and the AAXs. That's a variation of AAPI. My own concoction. You can be an AAF, Asian American Filipino. You can be an AAH, and that would be a Hmong. Asian American Hmong. Asian American Cambodian. You could be an AACAM. Oh, we got all sorts of things to call ourselves. Hey, welcome to the program. Lots to talk about today. We are here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live. And you say, oh, look at your sundial, Emil. Thank goodness you're not trying to collide with that asteroid today, because you would miss it by 5 minutes if you said, we're colliding with the asteroid at 2 p.m. Pacific, because it's 1:56 Pacific now, and you would have missed it. Thereby failing in your mission to save the world. But this is just a micro talk show. This is just a micro talk show. So, and the reason why I go on a little early sometimes is because I can add on that little lanyap, right? I heard someone say lanyap like in normal conversation. They called it a lanyap coffee shop, like a little something extra. And that's what this is. This is a little something extra before we start in earnest at 2 p.m. I'm in this play, and it will have a reading, a stage reading. It's called The Conductor. It's on October 16th, and it's a virtual stage reading. And let me put it up here. It's at the theaterforthenewcity.net, and go to the theaterforthenewcity.net/shows. There's the link. But we had a little rehearsal. Oh, I think it's going to be good. I think especially the theater's in New York City, but it's a virtual reading, so you can be anywhere and get the play or watch this reading of the play. And the reason why it's important is because you know how people like to knock people who are quote unquote woke, right? There's a real anti-wokeness thing. It's like the intolerance of wokeness is almost intolerable, frankly. And so in San Francisco earlier this year, they had 2 recall elections. A recall election of very progressive school board members who weren't perfect, but they were progressive, and they were recalled. And then there was a recall of a DA, Chesa Boudin, who was very progressive, and he was recalled. And people on the East Coast who don't understand what's going on like to think that, oh, well, maybe this is indicative of the failure of wokeness. It's a structural failure of wokeness to engage the very people who invented wokeness, all those people on the West Coast. And so there's a lot of hand, ringing, like, oh, yeah, isn't this great? But no. The fact is, this was a kind of this is why Ishmael Reed wrote the play, The Conductor. And he talks about how what happened with the recall is kind of indicative of what always happens when progressives are if you understand the history, if you understand how people have been treated, how people of color have been treated throughout history. What I'm saying is, this play is a history lesson. Ishmael Reed's The Conductor. And it's kind of, I like to say it's kind of Shavian, meaning in the George Bernard Shaw sense of the term, because he takes something that's real, that's in the news, and he provides an explanation, and he does it in a dramatic way that's not so pedantic as it is instructive, informative, and engaging. And it really is entertaining. I have a small part. I play a talk show. No, not a commentator, and it's actually I think it's coming together. It's very engaging. So if you go to theaterforthenewcity.net, theater THEATER for FOR thenewcity.net/shows/the conductor at the hyphen conductor. God, all this syntax. theaterforthenewcity.net/shows/the hyphen conductor. There it is. Did I include the hyphen on the conductor? Anyway, 4 live stream virtual readings, a play in 2 acts, written by Ishmael Reed, directed by his spouse, partner in crime, Carla Blank. And it's interesting about how much history most people don't know about what happens to people of color. It's Thursday, October 13th, Friday, October 14th, Saturday the 15th, and Sunday, October 16th. There's a matinee on Sunday the 16th. Tickets are $18. You can phone them at 212-254-1109, 212-254-1109. Theater for the New City to check out the conductor. I was at rehearsals this weekend. It's coming along. It's funny. It's engaging. And there are things about people of color and their history that you will not know about, that will inform you about what's going on with these recall elections and who are behind, who is funding these recall elections, and how history really is on side of the people, because this is just more of the same of how people of color have always been treated in America. And the conductor, why is it the conductor? Why is it called the conductor? Because the conductor, because of this thing that happens in the play, it necessitates a new underground railroad for the woke. The woke must escape. It's funny. It's kind of, it would be funnier if it wasn't so cautionary and if it wasn't so real. But it's always engaging, always entertaining, and instructive to boot. The Conductor, Theater for the New City, coming virtual reading October 13th through 16th. You can see it anywhere. You can be in New York and watch it online. You can be in California. You can be anywhere. I trust at some point it will be live on stage, and that'll be something too. But I would catch it now. I would catch it now. Ishmael Reed, the noted African-American writer, poet, essayist, a good friend and mentor of mine, catch it. October 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th coming up. Theaterforthenewcity.net. Go to their website. It is a lot of fun. And you'll learn something. So, what we're going to talk about today, there's so much happening in the culture, Asian Americans in the culture now, right? I mean, you just get this sense that we are growing, and we'll talk about that today on today's show. I want to talk about Simu Liu's Jeopardy win. Did you see that? I mean, the first Asian American I had some kind of contact with online said, "Hey, did you see Simu Liu's Celebrity Jeopardy win last night?" I caught some of it. Frankly, I was like a lot of Asian Americans who love to watch sports on TV over the weekend. I was glued, especially you West Coasters who are watching the 49ers pitiful play against the Denver Broncos. And this is a weird situation because just last week, everyone's saying, oh, poor Trey Lance, he got hurt, he's out for the season. The second string backup guy who hasn't practiced all preseason. Now he's got to go in. Jimmy Garoppolo, handsome Jimmy G, right? And so people were looking forward to this week because he was up against Russell Wilson in the Seattle Seahawks, well, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, the Denver Broncos now. And this would be the debut, well, not really the debut, but the entree of here comes Jimmy G, here come the Niners, and isn't this a great team? And it was just the opposite. People are saying, oh, now we know why Jimmy G was unwanted by the 49ers. Now we know why Trey Lance was given the keys to the car, maybe before he was ready. It's because Jimmy G is just not good enough. I want to be sympathetic and equanimous and say, well, he didn't practice. He had shoulder surgery. Come on. But I know a lot of West Coast Asian Americans who are looking at that NFL Western Conference, and some of them are Rams fans, and some of them are Raiders fans who now are in Las Vegas and no longer in LA. They used to be in Oakland, so they kind of bifurcated California. Now they're in Las Vegas. But since they lost, no one's rooting for the Raiders anymore. So now West Coast Asian American football fans were tuned into that San Francisco-Denver game, and it was pitiful to watch Jimmy Garoppolo go down and seemingly in the first, at the beginning of the game, look like, oh, they got it together, and then slowly fall apart with mistakes and injuries and a classic score of what the hell was this? 11-10? When you watch an 11-10 football game, it is not a good football game. But so the 49ers lost. They could have won. Jimmy Garoppolo kind of gave the margin of error when he had his back to the end zone. He was going back to pass, and his foot stepped on the end line, which is out of bounds, a safety, 2 points for the other side, plus you got to kick off to them. Indignity of indignities. So it was a tough night for 49er fans. But look, it's a long season. It's just the third week, and they should be, quite frankly, 3-0 at this point, the 49ers. They're the best 1-2 team that should be 3-0. But hey, it's football. Let's not get too upset about it. It's a long season. Talk to us in December and see just how bad the 49ers are then. If Jimmy Garoppolo is even playing, he might be hurt, as he usually is. This is the thing about football. You just learn to be equanimous because these are humans playing a game, and they are not machines, and sometimes they are capable of just superhuman efforts. Like, I believe Russell Wilson on that last drive where he scores, or he gets the Broncos to score. That was old Russell Wilson. Now he's really old Russell Wilson. He doesn't do it that often. I mean, that was a friend of mine in Boston texted me, said, were those the two best defenses or the two worst offenses? I can't tell what I was watching last night. Anyway, if you were an Asian American football fan, you were watching that game. You weren't watching Celebrity Jeopardy and Simu Liu last night. I know you weren't. Even though Jeopardy is the de facto American intelligence, it's American IQ test, essentially, right? Of course, you have to have the proper syntax where the answer is in the form of question. Simu Liu, though. Look, I love Simu, even though he's an Asian Canadian, an Asian North American, an Anna. That's better than an Asian Canadian, which would be an ACAN. you rather be an ACAN or an Asian North American, an ANA or an ACAN? Anyway, labels. Who needs these labels? But the beauty of Simu is, Celebrity Jeopardy. I mean, this was something, right? Like I said, and he was looking cool, wearing his striped shirt. I mean, who wears striped shirts? Yeah, I mean, that's like that's a bold move, right? It's like when Asians wear red. That's a bold move. Yeah, and Asians wear red, and it's not like so I got some red. I got some red in case, I want to do a bold move. And it's not Lunar New Year, but he was wearing stripes. And I'm telling you, I like Simu Liu. I like Shang-Chi. I was late to the party, but I know his character kicks a bully in the cage match, right? One of the first cage matches was a guy named Emil. That's why it's one of my favorite movies. Emil does not show up well in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But look, here's the thing. Celebrity Jeopardy means he's playing for charity, right? Because, it would be a shame for Hollywood actors to actually make a living on their Jeopardy appearances, right? This is for charity. See, this is the great thing about American. These are the American royals. Simu Liu, Ego Wodum from Saturday Night Live. I like Ego Wodum. Ego. EGO, that's 2/3 of my initials. Andy Richter, I love Andy. Late Night with Conan O'Brien, he played for the LA Regional Food Bank. Ego Wodum played for God's Love We Deliver. Simu played for Stop AAPI Hate. And this is why you gotta love what he did. First of all, he brought attention to Stop AAPI Hate, right? The organization that chronicles the numbers of people who've been attacked based on reports and self-reporting. The number is over 11,000 in the 2 years of the pandemic, or more than 2 years of the pandemic. The latest example broke over the weekend. Well, actually, it was reported on Friday. In Chicago, did you hear? They arrested an 18-year-old suspect held without bail in the carjacking and beating of Jin Liu. Who's Jin Liu? He was a chef, and he was walking along and was beaten months ago and has been in a coma. And it happened back in April. And the police finally arrested someone, an 18-year-old suspect who faces multiple counts of attempted murder, robbery, aggravated vehicular hijacking, and aggravated battery to a victim who is 60 years or older. That's the key. The victims are Asian. I won't say Chinese because they're not Chinese exclusively. A lot of them are Filipino. A lot of them are any Asian. They are AAXs. Fill in the X. Asian American Filipinos, Asian American Thai. They've all been victims. And many are women, but many are older, 60 plus. So now we're 5 months after the attack. Jin Liu is still trying to recover, not doing well. He has a need for 24-hour care, according to reports. And we don't even know if he's going to recover. But it's through the effort of police, even after 5 months, they're able to make some kind of arrest And they apparently, police tracked down, let's see, the attackers beat Liu and ran off with his car, and they used his credit card, and there was some video surveillance, and that's how they were able to track down the perps. I'm getting the rundown, a summary from ASAM News. Randall Yip's excellent aggregator of Asian American news throughout the world. Check it out, ASAM News. Liu's son said the family had lost hope the perpetrators would ever be caught. And so this was a relief to them. This happened around April. They had a reward. You know, a guy was robbed, beaten, and this is similar to a lot of situations of victims of AAPI hate. Older, they're beaten, they hang in, coma. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. There was one in New York, victim in New York, just right around the New Year, who ultimately succumbed. So this is bittersweet news. They got one perp, one suspect being held in Chicago, but we have Jin Liu still in a coma, not doing well, still with 24-hour care. This is an example of when people talk about stop AAPI hate, this is what they mean. This is stop AAPI hate. It's real, and you may not hear about it every day, except maybe when on the news, like last Friday. But then if you're watching Celebrity Jeopardy and you saw Simu Liu playing for Stop AAPI Hate, that's what a superhero does for the community. And that was great. Now, if you watched, you know, he didn't look all that great, you know, and I know, like, Jeopardy is like the de facto American IQ test, right? I mean, this is, I think I'll do it today. Oh, I don't feel so well. I only play Jeopardy at home if my ego's doing well, you know? I mean, you know, if there's some good topics or some good subjects, I might say, oh yeah, let's play that. And I'll drag my wife into the room and I'll play her. And normally I was a good trivia and quiz contest guy in, you know, growing up at the boys club and, you know, that kind of thing. I used to be really good at that stuff. But that was like, what, 40, 50 years ago. Now there's this new stuff. There's new questions. Some are historical, of course. But, you know, I only play Jeopardy, even at home, when my ego can take a beating, right? So I'm watching, and Simu's not doing too well. And then there's Final Jeopardy. And this is the key, right? You can always get it back with Final Jeopardy. And the category for the final round, landlocked countries. Oh, landlocked countries. Okay, that means they're not going to talk about the Philippines. That's not landlocked. So are there any principalities somewhere in China with landlocked countries? I mean, this is tough, right? Now, here's the thing with Jeopardy. They give you the topic, and then you got to say, okay, I know geography. And if I'm in trouble, I'll just guess something in Africa or something. Landlocked countries. What can they possibly ask? How to spell it? How to identify it on the map? So you got to bet. Now, here's where the good strategy comes in. You got to go for it. You got to go all in. I mean, he was like at 11,800, and Andy Richter was like at 22. And so you got to hope. See, this is where the gambling comes in. You got to hope that Andy Richter doesn't go too small, because if he does and bets like 0, then you can't catch him, right? But if he bets a little bit and it's enough and he's wrong, you might catch him. But it means that if you bet it all, he had like 11,800, 11,600. You got to get it right. You know, it's double or nothing. This is the risk. This is the Asian in Simu Liu. This is what I like about Simu. Look, if you're going to be a superhero, you're not going to win all the battles. I mean, you got to like figure that sometimes you're going to be just like a regular guy, but you got to bet it all. That's the superhero thing. So he bets. He takes all his cash, 11,600, or all his Jeopardy money. He's not really cash. I guess you could take it to the supermarket and you could try to buy some groceries, and they would look at you funny and say, "What do you want me to do with this? This is America. You can't buy with Jeopardy money." You see, so it's, you know. So he bets 11,600. Double or nothing. He could have 23,200. And you got to do it just knowing the category. You don't know what the question is. You got to get the question. Now, Andy Richter has 21,000. And he's saying, okay, I got to have enough to beat Simu. He's doing the math too. I got to have at least 23,200 to beat Simu. So he's probably doing his math. He says, okay, I bet 2,200. And that means I'll still have a high total, and I'll tie. If Simu Liu was smart enough to bet it all. See, he doesn't know this. You're marking it down, right? You're all just making some guess. This is why Jeopardy is kind of a fabulous game, right? Because you're thinking all the time. Even though it's television, you're doing some thinking. I know it's antithetical to TV, but you're thinking. Okay, and then Ega Wodum is at 10,000. She says, what the hell? I got to go for it. And so she puts down 10,000. So then here is the question. And this makes a big deal. The final clue. It's the world's smallest landlocked country in both area and population. Oh my God. The world's smallest landlocked country in both area. Would you know what that is? I mean, I'm asking you, would you know what that is? I mean, it's not like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, someplace there's some small little country in Canada. No, I mean, I'm just trying to simulate what was going through Simu's mind. How about Andy Richter? Oh, that smug Andy Richter. Thinking, oh, maybe it's got to be some principality in Europe. Of course, because, you know, the white bias in Jeopardy has to show up somehow, right? There's got to be. What was that, the name of that country that Groucho Marx and Duck Soup? Got to be something like that. Or maybe, well, is this like before or after, you know, the breakup of the Soviet Union? Because there's got to be a landlocked country. So landlocked, that means there's no rivers, there's no oceans, there's no Baltics. So, see, it's tough. And, you know, they only give you like, da, 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 da. I mean, they only give you that song. So it's kind of tough. It's not easy, right? And who knows what Ega Wodum is thinking? She's probably saying, well, landlocked. Africa? So they go through all of them, right? And Ega Wodum, 10,000, flips over. She bet all 10. Oh, she says, what is Togo? Question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation. What is Togo? No, she is wrong. How much did she bet? 10,000. She's at 0. Andy Richter is next. 21,000. He says, as I figured, he goes with the white bias with Europe. He says, what is Liechtenstein? Oh, smart one. Mr. Richter, smart one. What is Liechtenstein? He bets. He's wrong. He's wrong. It's not Liechtenstein. He bets 2,200. Oh, coy. He still leads 18,900. Next, Simu Liu, 11,600. He says, What is Vatican City? Winner, 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 winner. What is Vatican City? Of course, Vatican City. It's landlocked. It's in Italy. It's within Rome. It's a Vatican City. Yes. Yes. He flips over how much he bet. 11,600. He bet 11,600, giving him 23,200. He beats Andy Richter. Oh my goodness, he beats Andy Richter. And that's how he won. Simu Liu. He gets to go to the semifinals. And get more money for Stop AAPI Hate. Of course, you don't go empty-handed. I mean, they gave 30,000 to Richter and Nico Wodum. But Simu Liu, Asian American of the day, stepping in not as a superhero, but just as a superhuman for Stop AAPI Hate. And I bet you a lot of people, I mean, Asian Americans, we know Stop AAPI Hate. But how many non-Asians really understand the significance of Stop AAPI Hate? I mean, I can't imagine. They might say, oh, it's some Asian American service type group. So I got to hand it to Simu. And I don't mind that in Shaanxi they kick this guy Emil's ass in the cage fight, that early cage fight. You know, when he goes into that little space and they're all cage fighting. I don't even mind the guy's name is Emil. That's a badge of honor. It's not me. Oh, it's never. Is it always about you, Emil? It's always about. No, it's not always about me. Congratulations, Simu Liu, and hopefully more money for Stop AAPI Hate. Although they got a lot of good donations over the course of the year when they first got going and they started documenting and keeping numbers and keeping a tally of the numbers of Asian Americans who've been abused and killed and hurt. And it's a needed service, especially now, because the moment you let your guard down, forget it. The moment you let your guard down, that's when you're in trouble. So, a good win for Stop AAPI Hate, a good win for Simu Liu. Not a superhero, a superhero. Okay, now, as I said, that's why I wasn't watching it live. I was watching, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers embarrass themselves playing to an 11-10 defeat to the Denver Broncos. Actually, I was also watching the Yankee game where it was raining and just watching Aaron Judge try to become the guy, right? He was trying to break Roger Maris's record. And that record means something to me. I mean, it means something to me because I was a young kid, Maris and Mantle, and I was rooting for Willie Mays in San Francisco. But those were the years when baseball just captivated, my everything in my life. And so I had one eye on the 49ers, one eye on Aaron Judge. Of course, he bats every eighth batter he bats, or every ninth batter. And so, I'd watch him hit a fly ball, watch him, get a hit, but not a home run. And then the rain came, and then we were hoping that he'd get at least one more at bat. I believe it was the seventh inning. He did not. So he probably will break it at some point over the next few days. It's going to happen. He just needs two. One to tie, one to break. One to tie 61, one to break. Aaron Judge, of course. I love him because he's from my part of California, Northern California. And everyone's thinking, yeah, let's break the bank. Let's let the Giants outbid the Yankees, pay him like a whole fleet of Brinks trucks to bring him to the Bay Area where he gets to play for the team he rooted for. Not the Yankees, but the San Francisco Giants. That's what I hope. All right. Turns out that was the wrong game to watch if you're an Asian American yesterday. The game to watch if you're an Asian American was the Cleveland Guardians defeating, who they defeat? They won. They won the game against the Chicago White Sox. Actually, they won the game when the White Sox lost 4-1 to the Tigers. But this is complicated. When the Guardians played yesterday, Stephen Kwan, the Asian American from Oregon State, from the Bay Area, went up to Oregon State to play baseball, hit a grand slam. That's a home run that you want to cheer for. He's a rookie. He had a great first 10 days in Major League Baseball. He's batting .298, has 6 home runs, and, he's not even a favorite for Rookie of the Year. But he is a favorite in Cleveland. They call him all sorts of names. They call him King Kwan. I get it. They call him Obi-Kwan Kenobi. They call him the Chosen Kwan. I guess Cleveland, it's not enough that they got rid of the Indian name and they call themselves the Guardians, but they have to give out new nicknames to make, I guess they're not making fun of Kwan's ethnicity to call him King Kwan. They're just comparing him to a gorilla. Okay, that's not too bad. Obi-Kwan Kenobi, comparing him to a Star Wars, the Chosen Kwan. Okay, look, it's just baseball, right? Anyway, Stephen Kwan. He's a baller, as they say. And he won the NCAA World Series title. It says here, I'm reading Amazon News, Oregon Beaver in 2018. I thought it was Oregon State, but Oregon Beaver. I'll give him he's a duck. If he looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, he's a duck. But Stephen Kwan hitting his first grand slam on the day that the Guardians clinched. That was the game to follow. That was the game. Hooray for Stephen Kwan. King Kwan, they call him. Comparing him to a gorilla? No. I think you got to let that go. I think you got to say they're not really, they're his might, the might of Stephen Kwan. Congratulations to Stephen Kwan. Hey, other Asian Americans who were just incredible yesterday, and there were a number of them. Tua Tagovailoa, my God. It was more the defense, I know. But Tua kept them in the game for Miami, kept Miami in the game. And he beat the Buffalo Bills, who were considered maybe the best team in the AFC. And so now the Bills are 2-1. The Miami Dolphins are 3-0. And Tua Tagovailoa is now hot. The Asian American. And, here's the thing. Tua, they're questioning some NFL players, or the NFL Players Association is wondering if indeed Tua suffered a concussion during part of the game, because it shows that they were showing some tape of him at the game. He gets knocked on his back. And this is the thing about when you play football. Those helmets look nice. They kind of protect you a little bit, but you cannot protect yourself against the back, your head whipping back and the back of your head pounding the ground. I know what that feels like. Believe me, I think that has taken off at least 20 or 30 IQ points from in my lifetime. I don't know if I ever got them back. I may have been able to borrow some and then I had to give them back again. But, when you get hit, they do not have a helmet that prevents that whiplash kind of motion. And that's like a hard bang to the back of the head. They showed Tua trying to get up, and he had a hard time. I hope he finished the game, but a lot of people are saying, hey, this guy had a concussion and they did not take him out. What the heck's going on? People who know me and know I have my football story. One of the reasons I like football is because if you have ever played tackle football with pads and gotten to a huddle, and you know what the smell of the grease paint, the roar of the crowd, you know what that's like. Believe me, no matter what level of football, you know the smell of icy hot, the smell of Bengay, the smell of sweat and mud, because you play a season and there's rain and sometimes there's mud and sometimes it's hot. The sweat and you'll never forget those football senses that you get, or what you're attacked with when you're in the huddle. And then when you get in the bottom of a pile, my God, that brings back some traumatic memories as people sort of peel off and see who's recovered the fumble. Anyway, so some concern about Tua, but he is now showing that he is the man with the Dolphins at 3-0. Of course, early in the season, but remember, a lot of people doubted Tua Tagovailoa, and now he is the guy. And you got to give a hand to not just the colleges that developed people like Tua, Alabama, or you got to go back to high school, because a lot of these Asian American quarterbacks came out of the same high school, St. Louis High in Honolulu. And I want to talk about the second really great quarterback of this past weekend, the Atlanta Falcons, and Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota played a heck of a game, and Atlanta beat Seattle. Seattle not that great, but Atlanta beat Seattle 27-23. This is a good game for Asian Americans. Mariota scored a touchdown in the third quarter to make it 27-23. Let's see, his stats were pretty good. He was 13 for 20, 229 yards, had a 99.8 quarterback rating, 1 TD, 1 interception. Okay, not exceptional, but thank goodness for the other Asian American on this team, the Atlanta Falcons. He was 2 for 2 for field goals, including a 54-yarder. Young Ho Koo, who an Asian American from Korea, who signed a $25 million contract before the season to be the kicker for the Atlanta Falcons. So a lot of Asian Americans, and all over the darn place. And not just, in important key positions, kicker, quarterback, Tua with Miami, Marcus Mariota, and they were all top collegiate players, and they were both from the same high school in Honolulu, St. Louis High. So anyway, just want to get that in there for the Asian American sports fans. Going to mention all the AAPI feats over the weekend. And there was a number of other St. Louis High players didn't do as well. In the young guy, Gabriel is his last name, for Oklahoma. Number 3, Oklahoma. They lost to Kansas State. That wasn't great. So but still, it shows at St. Louis High, quarterback factory. People are taking notice. Oklahoma won't be ranked as high, but I'm just saying, it used to be that we would struggle to find an Asian American presence. And now here they are, all over the damn place. All right, just a couple other things I want to mention on today's program. Boy, in San Francisco, there was a big protest over the Iranian woman who died after her arrest from the morality police. This is a big thing. We got to watch this. And we got to watch this in conjunction with the other big protests in Russia, where the mothers are out there standing up to the authoritarian regime of Putin, saying, "Not my son. We're not gonna, fight this war." These are worth watching because this is the beginning of the end of these kind of authoritarian, autocratic regimes. I'm talking about the one in Islam, or rather the Islamic regime in Iran. I'm talking about Putin in Russia. When you see angry people out there, not just in Iran, not just in Russia, well, they were almost exclusively in Russia, but the Iranian protests were in Washington. There was a protest of several thousand on the Golden Gate Bridge in the San Francisco Bay Area. This is building, and let's see if it can be kept up. I mean, it's nationalistic, but it's also about the freedom of not just the people, but it's also, you got to point to the power of women. And that's important. The power of women to speak up against a young woman who is, it appears that she died after being arrested by the morality police, although it's not conclusive from the video that I've seen what happened to her. But people are remembering her. They're exposing the regime, and they got to keep it up. Power of women in Iran, power of women in Russia, mothers speaking out against the war, against the expansion of the war in Ukraine. 300,000 with whose sons? With whose sons? That's where the mothers have leverage. And so all this is great news. And then, wouldn't you know, then you got Italy, the right-wing coalition winning, sending it up for Giorgia Meloni, first female prime minister. And that's going to be, she's not exactly the most woke person in the world. So generalization only goes so far. But keep an eye on it. When the story broke about the protest about the Iranian woman who died after showing her face, it's emboldening people in Iran to come out, not just women, but freedom lovers, freedom fighters. And the only way you can keep people under the thumb of oppression and authoritarianism is if they have no access to the outside world, if they have no access to how life is elsewhere. And I don't know if they're that successful, but you can't continue that if people are out there protesting. It's going to be a challenge to the autocratic regimes, and let's hope the people keep up the pressure because the people have the power. A couple more things I want to mention. Ron DeSantis is out there looking pathetic. I mean, a week after he ships people to Martha's Vineyard from Texas, he goes out of Florida to Texas, gets involved in some kind of alleged scheme to send people in some kind of government transport jet to Martha's Vineyard. After he does that stunt, and after he uses up any credibility he has to say, "Oh, I'm just helping people get to these sanctuary situations," Yeah, we trust you on that, Ron DeSantis. After he does that, now he's talking to his Florida citizens. And he's saying, well, this is going to be tough. if you've been told to evacuate, we're not going to save you. How do you leave, or how do you lead a state after you do something as cruel and something as cruel and insensitive as what he did with those migrants? The migrants who aren't even illegal. You're not illegal if you are seeking asylum. You are legal. And what he did was just not cool. He took people, from Texas, brought them to on his dime, on the people's dime, brought them to Martha's Vineyard. Some of them were thousands of miles away where they needed to be. He created a ruckus. For what? To bring attention to himself. Losing all credibility. And here's what he should have done. He should have helped these people. He should have shown what a humanitarian he was. Not what kind of a prankster. You don't want a prankster governor. You want a governor who has a sense of humanity. You want a governor who knows that government is about people. And government isn't about showing up your opponent and making yourself look good. Governing is about the people. And what he did last week was cruel and unusual. What he does this week, can you trust anything? If you lived in Florida, can you trust anything Ron DeSantis says? About your personal safety, about the safety of your home, about a hurricane coming in, about what you should do. He's got zero credibility in my mind. And what if you're a neighboring state and you're fleeing DeSantis? You're going to Georgia, you're going to Alabama, you're going to any of the states adjoining or a state nearby. Do those people say, go back to Florida, go back to your hurricane? Well, the hurricanes are going to move. It's not Florida. Florida is going to share the hurricane. In fact, it could move up north, maybe not as far up as Martha's Vineyard, but it could move up. The thing to remind ourselves is that we're all part of the same country. We need to help each other, not to score political points by taking victims from one state, not in Florida, but Texas, and then moving them up to Martha's Vineyard. That was a bold stunt that I think will backfire this week. After what happens to the storms, I just think it heightens the cruelty of the previous week, and it shows what a doofus Ron DeSantis really is. Here's the other thing. These asylum seekers. There's about 670,000 asylum seekers here in this country who are awaiting the disposition of their cases. It could take anywhere from 4 to 4.5 years. If they apply, they can get work permits. They're legal, or can be legal. They can work legally. And I've seen a lot of news reports about people in Florida, small business owners, who say, we got jobs. We'll hire these people. What the heck are you doing shipping them to Martha's Vineyard? Tell them to come to Florida. This is the stupidity of Ron DeSantis. This is why Ron DeSantis does not deserve to be president. You don't need a president who is a political buffoon to say, I'm going to represent the Republican Party. I don't think so. You don't want that. He's not presidential material. That's what the Martha's Vineyard move proved. And this hurricane that he's facing just shows it again. Ron DeSantis is not presidential material. All right, just a few more things. I tap into right-wing stuff to just see what they're saying about Asian Americans. Now, this is I'm on the RNC email list, and they're boasting about Herschel Walker, the ex-football player. Oh, Emil, you like football. You must like Herschel Walker. No, no, no. If I were voting in Georgia, if I had a vote, I would look at the other candidates for Senate. I would look at people like Raphael Warnock, the current incumbent senator. You know, Warnock is he's in the same line as Martin Luther King. He's at Ebenezer Baptist Church. That's where King's body is. If you're an Asian American and you're looking to support somebody, and you got the choice of supporting a guy who's in the lineage of Martin Luther King versus a guy who's in the lineage of a good college football player out of Georgia, who would you rather have as a senator representing your state? I don't think there's a question. Even if you're a Republican. And here is the RNC sending out emails to Asian Americans saying, oh, look at Herschel Walker. He's so great for the APA community. He's celebrating the first anniversary of the APA Community Center in Berkeley Lake, Georgia. What a great guy Herschel Walker is. Well, I don't know. If you're Asian American, I don't know if there's a good reason to vote for Herschel Walker. I think consider Warnock. Compare them side by side. Probably Warnock can't run the 40 in under 5 seconds. Probably Herschel Walker can't either at this point. But what he represents to us as a community, to us as a people, I would consider Warnock. But the fact that the RNC, the Republican National Committee, is sending this out to Asian Americans like me to say, hey, look, Herschel Walker, he's really for Asian Americans. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But I do buy Simu Liu winning Celebrity Jeopardy. Yeah, that's a tough question. That was a tough question about, landlocked countries. The clue was it's the world's smallest landlocked country in both area and population. That would be tough. Frankly, I don't know if the altar boy in me could have come up with that answer. Vatican City. Of course, if you were glued to the elections of popes and waiting for that smokestack to turn white, then they talked about Vatican City a lot. And they said, oh, well, this is its own country, its own landlocked. Yeah. It's not like Venice. There's no canals. It's landlocked. It's the smallest. There's just the Pope and all his choir boys, his cardinals. Congratulations to Simu Liu again. Hey, that's going to do it for our show today. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live. This is show 397. You can catch all our shows. 2 p.m. Pacific live are on, but you can catch the replays on amok.com. Catch them on. You can go to my YouTube channel, my pathetic YouTube channel. Follow favorite it, like us, do something nice for us. Subscribe. Oh, subscribe. They say, tell your people to subscribe. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to Twitter @Emil Amok and also Facebook, fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. That gets you to us, either live or recorded. Regular listeners to the show know that I like to meditate. And, once you start meditating a lot, you realize there are all sorts of techniques to just be quiet, to just sit and be quiet. And it's not any harder than just paying attention to your breath or just paying attention to the nothing that's there. I know a lot of people say, "Ooh," when you talk about nothing, but it's real. It's like just getting excited about the true sense of presence. Maybe this only happens when you get bored with your meditation and you try to expand. Just where are we going with our meditation? But I will say this, it works. I think it works if you're looking for a calming presence, if you're looking for something that will help you get out of a funk. Sometimes just sitting back and doing nothing, the do nothing meditation, can get you in touch with a true, authentic side. Because, the answers aren't outside of you. The answers aren't somewhere where we're going to get to someplace or somewhere. The answers are within you. And sometimes you don't get the answer until you sit back and are totally present and do nothing. Just one of the things I was thinking about. Hey, happy birthday to my wife of 30 plus years, Kathy. 30 plus. I got her a bread maker. After 30 years, you got, it said, under the list of things you get, it said bread. Get bread. No, actually, wheat. Happy birthday. It's really something. It's something. You spend half your life with a person. It's the only thing I can think of that's better than meditation. It's better than, okay, there's some other things too that, kind of personal. Anyway, happy birthday to my wife. That's it for our show. Back in tomorrow. Till then, as I like to say, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil here. Back tomorrow. Mahal Gita.